Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Today we're going to check out the Deadlands DLC patch notes. The DLC is finally live on the PC and it will launch November 15th on console. On ESO-hub.com, in the DLC section up here, you will find the Deadlands DLC. All the content can be found here, the new guides, the new sets, new furnishing items, and everything is explained and showcased. Put the link in the description. The builds are updated on alcasthq.com as well. I also wrote an article mostly going over the most important things that changed, like the critical damage cap, proc sets, and all that stuff. I also put the link in the description. So let's get started. Timestamps in the description below, because it will be quite a long video. The Gates of Oblivion, let me actually zoom in a little bit. There we go. The Gates of Oblivion story reaches its climactic finale in the Deadlands DLC. The way the Mirren's Dagon's realm has been opened and his legions of Daedra and cultists prepare to unleash a series of new and terrifying Daedric inventions. Okay, sure. Lots of roleplay text. Yeah, new items, collectibles, outfits, achievements. The base game introduces some new exciting features, including the Armory System, which allows you to save out character builds, curated item set drops to help you complete your item set collections. So, like, farming gear got a lot easier. New mythic items, then they added DLSS and DLAA support from NVIDIA. That was quite impressive, to be honest. Be sure to check out all the details below. Yeah, of course, combat changes, itemization adjustments, and so on. The new zone, Deadlands. If you want a preview of it, below here on the Deadlands DLC page, you can actually watch a video, but I would just recommend go check it out yourself if you have the DLC. The zone looks pretty cool. There's a few new world bosses. There's also wandering world bosses. They basically walk around. They might clap you anytime. They are a little bit more difficult than the world bosses, but like if you're a very good player, you can still solo them. So they're not that difficult. Then, yeah, Fargrave. They actually added not only the Deadlands DLC zone, but also Fargrave. So this here is Deadlands. And then there is also Fargrave. Basically the main hub city and the small zone attached to the city as well. Okay, yeah. New item sets. I made videos on my YouTube channel about most of these if you want to go check them out. Like you can find, yeah, you can pretty much find all of them here. Let's just quickly go over them. Wretched Vitality. While in combat, applying a major buff or debuff to a target grants you 260 magic and stamina recovery for 15 seconds. While in combat, applying a minor buff or debuff to a target grants you 130 magic and stamina recovery for 15 seconds. So that's a lot of extra regen that you actually can get from this set. It's fairly easy to apply a major buff or debuff or a minor buff or debuff. A lot of skills actually apply a major and a minor. So yeah, that's actually pretty decent set. I mean, the question is, do you really need that much sustain? I would rather use damage sets, but yeah, it's definitely decent. Or good even. Deadlands Demolisher. Your bash attacks deal 935 more damage. When you bash, you also deal physical damage in a cone in front of you, interrupting any enemy's hit. This effect can occur once every 2 seconds and counts as bash damage. So the cone actually looks pretty cool. I would just recommend watching the video later. You can actually also visit the set pages on ESO Hub. We usually bind in the videos as well. You can also see which champion points are affected by the set and other way around. This is a very niche set, but if you're like going for a bash build, this might be interesting. Especially because it also interrupts enemy hit, which is pretty cool. Iron Flask. When you drink a potion while in combat, increase your armor by 7,779 for 20. I guess it's fine. This set is similar to some others that give you resistances. The cool thing about this here is that you could backbar it and activate the potion, kind of similar to how Alchemist works. Alchemist, clever Alchemist. You could backbar the set and then you drink the potion. On the backbar, you get the weapon damage, or now you get the armor and you can swap to the front bar and the stats will stick. Overland. Eye of the Grasp is light armor. When you deal critical damage, generates 7 ultimate. This effect can occur once every 5 seconds. Not bad, but there is better sets that do the same thing. Exo's Ward. Dealing critical damage with a direct damage ability grants you a damage shield that absorbs 14k damage for 6 seconds. So the cool thing about Hexal's Ward is... okay, there we go. It obviously gets buffed by Bastion, so you can stack... like the shield gets even bigger. Pretty cool. Now, you can't really decide when the shield activates, and it has a 7 seconds cooldown, but kinda similar to Ice Heart, it could be useful in certain situations, especially for newer players which often forget to reapply shields. Like experienced players often apply shields before they get hit. Less experienced players usually just die, or they apply shields after they get hit. And if this automatically procs, it could really save your ass. So I actually really like this one. Keen Marcher's Cruelty, heavy. When you deal direct damage, you apply 1 of 5 random major debuffs to enemies within 8 meters of you for 18 seconds. This effect can occur once every 8 seconds and only if an enemy is in range. Eligible debuffs are Major Breach, Cowardice, Defile, Maim, and Vulnerability. Let's actually check this out. We also now list up all the major stuff. The reason why it is actually pretty sexy that it gives major vulnerability is previously only Necromancer had access to this debuff, major vulnerability. Now you can also get it from a set. Obviously it's quite RNG related, but at least now there is another source. There's new collectibles. We also do have them on the website now. Let's see if we actually find this. Incarnate Illusion Gem, yeah. You can see where you get it from. If you want, you can upload an image here. Everybody can upload images. So it should all be also on the website. Achievements, same thing. Then we also get new motifs. Ancient Daedric, House Hexos, motive chapters. New furnishings. If you want to go check them out, they're all on the DLC page. Let me quickly show you. There we go. All the furnishings are here, the new ones. Yeah. So that's kind of already the new content, right? There is not really that much in the new DLC, but there is a lot of like quality of life updates in the base game. While we're talking about sets, I also recommend checking out the sets page on ESO Hub. We do now, like you can actually search for all the sets. You can also select buffs and debuffs, so there's multiple filters that you can use. Very useful, or you can go to the categories directly. Whatever floats your boat. Base game, the Armory System. Introducing the Armory, a new system that helps relieve The friction between switching or experimenting with your character's builds. The armory is free to all players. So if you have the base, basically if you bought that, so you get access to it, right? You can place that one in your house. Then there is also the Armory Assistant, Grasharog, which kind of works like the banker, just for your builds. I think it costs 5k crowns, yeah. You also do get 1 slot or 2 slots per character. I'm not sure. We also made a guide for that. I gotta stay on this page, yeah, here. The armory, pretty much explaining what's going on, like here's the furnishing that you can place in your house. I also made a video about it actually, yeah. And here's how you say it. It's pretty straightforward, to be honest, like you can't really do much wrong. This here's assistant. Is there anything else important? Yeah. Okay, you get 2 armory slots per character. If you want to buy an additional armory slot, I think each new one costs 1,500 crowns per character. So kinda crazy prices. But in most cases 2 are enough anyways. Unless maybe it's your main character, maybe you want a 3rd or a 4th one. But this system is pretty cool. Only downside it actually has is that it doesn't save your Mundustone. However, it does save Werewolf and Vampire. So you can actually save a build with a Vampire, with the Vampire curse, and then you can save a build without it, and you can instantly swap between. Pretty cool. It also saves all the champion points, slottables, and perks. It's all explained here. I just see they don't explain anything. Impressive. Well, thank God I wrote the guide. Anyway, curated item set drops. Bosses and reward chests from arenas and incursions will now preferentially drop set items that have not yet been unlocked in your item set collections. Most bosses in the game, along with reward chests from arenas and incursions, will now preferentially drop set items that have not yet been unlocked in your item set collections. These sources will only drop the set items that they can normally drop. Okay. Basically, if you only miss a fire stuff in a certain dungeon, let's say Arx Corinium, the Medusa, like the past 2-3 patches everybody has been farming Medusa, and the fire stuff is just a pain in the ass farm. Now, once you have all the other set pieces and you only miss the fire stuff, it will be a guaranteed drop. Once you have all the set items, it will go back to RNG. So you can fill up your item set collection a lot faster now, and grinding gear in general has been like it's a lot easier now. Yeah, it has been simplified. Guess was the word I was looking for. Anyway, item set collection. There's now a summary page, so you can see how many of the sets you have or you don't. New Mythics. We are currently... Did I manage to... Yeah. Job Alcast. We are currently also farming the leads of the 3 new Mythics, Boulder of Ruin. Most of them are actually... Oh, all of them are already here. So the leads are already listed, where you can find them. Belharsaz band, there is 1 missing. If you find any of the leads that are still missing, you can actually always report these to our official ESO community Discord in the feedback section here. As best is like ESO Hub, but anywhere is fine, to be honest. so we can add the info to the list. This here is Balder, Belharsar, and we are missing Markin. This one also has one unknown. Oh, pretty much already. Yeah. I was actually very happy to see that the community gathered the info so fast, so thank you very much for that. I didn't expect that things would be found that fast. So what do these things do? Marking Ring of Majesty. Gain 100 weapon and spell damage and 1150 armor for each free set bonus active. I also made videos for these. It's not really better than what is out there. Like, there is other mythics that are just better. So it could be good for some niche sets, but I would rather just wear other mythics than this one, which is fine. Obviously, you can still create decent builds with it. Belharsar's Band. Increase the damage of your light attacks by 900 when you deal damage with consecutive melee light attacks. Gain a stack of Belharsar's Temper for 10 seconds. Up to 5 stacks max. When you reach 5 stacks, consume Belharsar's Temper and deal physical damage per stack to enemies in a line after 1 second delay. Stunning them for 3 seconds if 5 stacks are consumed. Basically, a bull charges ahead in front of you and stuns people. It sounds cool, but the set is completely garbage and useless because of this word. You need to do 5 light attacks in a row. Otherwise, you won't gain the stack. So if you do a light attack, an ability, a light attack, it won't count. You need to do light attack, light attack, light attack, light attack, light attack. So I don't know what they were thinking here. I don't understand. Boulder of Ruin. Activating crouch toggles on and off a 12-meter aura of pride. Up to 6 allies in the aura gain 260 weapon and spell damage. Reduce your health, magic, and stamina recovery by 70 for every group member benefiting from your aura of pride. This one is actually cool for healers. You can crouch, stand back up, then people will get the buff. Just keep in mind, the more people you buff, the less recovery you will have. But this is definitely a set worth getting. Map updates, sure. Oh yeah, that's actually cool. So active dark anchors will now display as active on the zone map when engaged, similar to what they did with the dragons in Elsewhere. That's pretty cool. Similar to hero zones and the geysers. Okay, sky shards will now appear on the map and compass when you approach them. That is very cool. Similar to other points of interest like way shrines and set state. A new PvP mode, Siege Stomper. I think we also already have this one. I do apologize if I jump a lot back and forth, but yeah. You kinda can destroy. There's like a small tower you can destroy with it. We also already have a video, so you can go check it out if you want. It's on ESO Hub. And the DLSS and DLA support. They're really pushing for this. Like, I don't see a lot of other MMOs implementing new stuff like graphics and things, so this is actually pretty cool. And it looks different. Just make sure that multi-threaded rendering is enabled. It will increase your FPS so much. Oh, okay, cool. Multi-threaded rendering is now enabled by default. Okay, that is nice. That is nice. I didn't know that would be happening. That is very cool. So if you haven't changed it last patch, then it's enabled now, and you will get so much more. Yes, it's crazy. Fixes and changes. Yeah, I'm just gonna. Yeah, maybe Rock Grove, Flame Herald, Bazai got some changes because Mist Form doesn't work anymore in PvE, so they had to adjust the damage. Combat and abilities. Now it gets interesting, what most people are looking forward to. So this is usually where I get depressed. I hope I won't this time. I will try not complain too much, but let's see. Critical damage and healing now has a hard cap of 125%. Note that this value can go beyond 125%, but your critical strikes will not deal more than 125% damage or healing in total. There's a hard cap of 125. Previously, you could have gone to like 150 or even higher, would be possible. Let's see what they have to say. I'm really not happy with this. It only really affects the very optimized groups, so for the majority of the player base, it's not really important. Currently, critical chance continues to remain the best stat in-game by a large margin in PvE due to no effective cap on the bonus, and a large array of sourcing of critical damage and healing amplification. Rather than nerving the values of these sources across the board and hurting build choices that aren't overperforming, we have decided to add a ceiling to the effectiveness of critical potency to ensure the stat remains powerful, but doesn't continue experiencing power creep as we add more options to build for it in the future. This should have very low impact on unoptimized builds while also reigning in groups who are coordinating many sources of these bonuses and producing extraordinary results of damage. So basically what I read this as, we are too lazy to balance the game, so we just added the cap. The only reason why there is power creep of this particular type of damage is because Zenimax implemented so many overpowered buffs over the last year. I made a guide here. You can actually go to the guides in the menu and then in combat, and it should be critical damage modified. Why do I say that? Like, they implemented minor brittle, 10% more critical damage. Then we have backstabber, fighting finesse, another 15-10%. Elemental catalyst is probably the most broken set that applies this buff. Like, this set gives 15% critical damage to every group member in the party. Like, that's just insane. That's just so much extra damage from one set, right? So instead of balancing these buffs better, they just decided, whatever, let's just put the cap and be done with it. So we don't have to bother anymore, and if we implement new sets, we also don't have to care about balancing it, because now there's a cap, it can't go above, problem solved. That's why I say it's the lazy approach. Not that big of a deal for most players, like I said. Let's leave it at that, otherwise I will complain for 2 hours. I just feel like it's a lazy fix. I don't like lazy fixes. Then made the following adjustments to bash. This core combat skill now has a cooldown of 3-3-3, down from 3-5-0. Eventually it can be cast up to 3 times per second. Okay, cool. Reduce the cost to 7-6. Venture, yeah, okay. That's a huge decrease in cost. Damn. The damage now scales with a mixture of your physical and spell resistance plus extra damage. Okay. Reduce the cooldown phase after activating bash that prevents you from casting other activities. So they basically made it more responsive, cheaper, so bash overall should be better now. That's cool. The damage from this can now trigger enchantments and poisons. Okay. Abilities and item sets that heal, deal damage, or restore resources on a set frequency while in an area of effect will no longer display visual effects on each impact for targets in. Below is a list of affected sources. That is fine, I guess. There is just like, these changes were done to help reduce combat clutter by utilizing these effects. There's just so much things going on, sometimes you can't see anything anymore because of special effects. So it's good that they try to reduce that stuff. Dragon Knight. Ardent Flame Combustion. Increase the resource granted from this passive to 1000, up from 500. A little bit more sustain. Out of the cooldown of 500 to each effect. Sure. Okay, still have pretty shitty sustain, but anyway. Inferno. This ability and Cauterize Morph now grant both Major Prophecy and Savagery. This is actually nice. That's basically 12% more spell and weapon crit. Flames of Oblivion, this morph now launches 3 fireballs, up from 2, since it lost part of its unique morph function. A little bit more damage, cool. Lava Whip, this ability and its morphs now scales off your highest stat. Oh, Lava Whip. Oh, this triggered me too anyway. This ability and its morphs now scales off your highest offensive stats rather than exclusively magical base stats. This here is just the most ridiculous comment. The whole patch notes, like, they just shit on all players pretty much. May this finally end the fury and age-old debate over getting a stamina whip, as this is our version of it. They're basically stem DKs. Finally, shut the fuck up. You have your stem whip. It still costs Magicka though. So what the hell, Sauce? Like, you just see they don't care about DK, or at least about stem DKs, right? Because the person making the balance changes is a Nightblade main. But anyway, it is what it is. We will never get a stamina whip. But yeah, this complete garbage. Like, what the hell? Molten Whip, whatever. World in Ruin, this passive now increases your damage done with flame and poison attacks by 5%, rather than increasing your damage done with AoE attacks by 6 and reducing the cost of your poison abilities. I guess that's fine. Cost reduction was nice though. Ash Cloud, this ability and its morphs now cost 378 magic every second while active, rather than having a massive upfront cost of 6k, keeping their cost per second relatively the same, while removing the penalty of having to recast the ability aside from losing a global cooldown. These abilities now take 15 times over the duration, down from 16, while their total damage or healing per cast remains relatively the same. I don't know, like, I guess it's fine. You can't toggle it on and off, so basically once you dropped it, you will lose the Magicka anyway, but you can recast it without losing too much Magicka. That should be an improvement, actually, yeah. Battle Roar, this passive now restores 50 health rather than 46. Okay. 4 more, cool. Necromancer, Gravelord. I sometimes wonder where they come up with these numbers. Like, why even change it when the change is so small? Boneyard, increase the damage of this ability and its morphs by approximately 10% per tick, since they tick 10 times instead of 11. Makes sense. Grim Focus. That's why you know the combat change guy is a Nightblade main. This ability has been changed more often than, I don't know, like, every patch this ability gets changed. Like, oh, it's not good anymore. Like, last patch it gave you critical damage, but because there's a cap now, it's not good anymore. So we gotta change it. If this had been on any other class, I doubt it would have gotten changed. So what does it do? This ability and its morphs now grants 60 weapon and spell damage per stack, rather than 2% critical damage. So you get raw weapon and spell damage. Also good. Twisting Path, this ability now scales dynamically with the highest of your offensive stats. That's why, like, on stamina builds, on alcasthq for example, You can actually use, example on this setup, like you actually want to use Twisting Path now. It deals a buttload of damage because it scales with your highest stat. Nightblade just gets so much good care. Unbelievable. Increase the healing from this ability by approximately 61% per tick, but reduce the base duration to 3 seconds down from 6. Okay. Increase the duration of the minor protection to 10 seconds up from 6 and fix an issue where it was not being affected. These changes should improve the skill for tank Nightblades by improving the healing per second and overall healing without having to wait as long for it to come in. Shade. Sure. Oh yeah, they changed Malovend Offering. This ability and its morphs now have an upfront magic cost of 350, 3510 and a residual health cost of 1080 or 3 seconds, rather than a health cost based on a mixture of your spell and magicka. So yeah, so it costs now magicka and health instead of just like a health cost based mixture of whatever that was. I guess that's fine. It was kind of unique though, where it was only health based. Or no, but yeah, losing too much health is never nice, so maybe a trade-off is better. These abilities can now target yourself and allies rather than only allies. Cool, sure. Oh. Zork, yeah. At least they fixed the lightning split. Templar, Adric Spear, fix. Light buff. You just see, you know, like I'm always teasing Gilliam. He's the combat dev responsible for like the class balance changes in ESO. It's only him, right? And obviously it's not his fault that it's not his fault that not more is being done here, because in theory every class would need a dev to really take care of it, right? But you can just see that Gilliam is a Nightblade main, because Nightblade just gets so much more care than most of the other classes. It's insane. But yeah, whatever. But anyway, I don't mind it, right? It's not too big of a deal, but it would be cool if they got some more people in the combat section so they can make the classes a little bit more unique and better balanced. Weapons, two-handed. Carve. Increase the duration of the damage over time effect to 12 seconds up from 10. Cool. Medium wave, fix. Then now this is also a big oof. Vampire, Mist Form. This ability and morphs. Damage reduction now only works against player attacks rather than any attack. So you can't use Mist Form, or I like to call it Moist Form, in PvE anymore. The reason why they changed this is because people were cheesing trials and dungeons with this. Basically, if you're a tank and you use Mist Form, you can't die, right? Most people never used this. It was used in Rockgrove on the second boss because there was no other way around it. But Sauce didn't know that there was no other way around it in hard mode. So yeah, again, lazy change in my opinion, but anyway, whatever. I actually wonder, does the tooltip in-game actually say? Let's see. Tooltips are updated. Ah! The game doesn't even tell you that that doesn't work in PvE. GG. Flawless work. So basically, if you don't read the patch notes, like all the new players or people that are not really interested in patch notes, they actually, I mean, they will realize eventually, but I would be pissed if I have to level this up and it actually doesn't tell me that it doesn't work in PvP. Anyway, whatever. Few champion point changes, not really much. This star now reduces your damage taken by 2% for every 2 negative effects on you rather than 1% per negative. This change was done to reduce the power of this node in encounter against singular target. Itemization, so this is another big topic. Let's see. So there is also kind of like a hybridization going on. The following rules will now be followed with item sets when applicable. Sets that grant weapon or spell damage now grant both. Same goes for physical spell penetration and crit. That's why, for example, on Magicka, you can actually use Zogwin now, right? It's a medium armor set, but you can use it on the like jewelry and weapon. You get crit, penetration, and then the 5-piece bonus. Previously, you only got weapon crit from it, right? So it wasn't good for Magicka players, but now it works both ways. That is pretty cool. Same thing goes for a lot of other sets, by the way. Both for magic and stamina. Like there's so much more set combos possible now, and hybrid builds in general are also better. As seen in recent updates, improving character hybridization has been a focus by the team in efforts to better bring to life the mantra of play the way you want. I mean, you could have already done that, right? At least in the easier content. This is not a large-scale effort done to help better realize that statement. Item sets should empower you to get excited to build and experiment different things and fit into your character. So overall, I do like the change. The only thing I'm really worried is in endgame, most people, like magic and stamina, might just run around with the same set. Because all the stats are hybrid. But then most people won't care about the endgame stuff, so it's item sets at the scale of weapon damage, spell damage, max magic, and max stamina can now again critical strike. Item sets that scale in order of magnitude or based on additional modifiers such as Relican or San will not critical strike. Many of these sets have received adjustments to their powers as well. Below are the sets that can critical strike and have had their scaling values reduced by 5%. I don't know why they made this list. On ESO Hub, I made a guide how do proc sets work, just explaining a little bit how things work and so on. There is only 6 sets that can critical strike. Basically, Arms of Relican, Perfect Arms of Relican, San, Martial Lock, Dark Conversions, and Hrothgar Chill. Every other proc set can crit. For example, Stormfist can now crit. Item sets that deal a burst of damage in 4 seconds or less now have a 1-second window after proccing that prevents similar item sets from activating. This is another thing that changed, very important for PvP players. Item sets that have innate counterplay, such as delays, minimum travel times, warning telegraphs, have 1 second or no cooldown, are exempt from this adjustment. If wearing multiple of these sets at once, any action that would activate multiple sets will instead trigger the first set you equipped and suppress others for 1 second. After that second passes, you will be able to attempt to trigger them again. I think I also added yeah, these sets here are affected by the proc order. it's just so much unnecessary details that you need to know. Like a normal player will never know this, right? You really need to be a hardcore ESO player to still know that. And even then, if there is no guide that actually tells you this, it's hard to remember which sets are affected or not. The game, in the game itself, won't tell you shit. Would be another thing if they would actually care to update the tooltips and stuff like that, right? But don't. Item traits. Charged. Increase the potency of these traits to 480. So this is a very powerful trait now. For example, on dual wield, you can use this. It actually boosts your damage enchant like crazy now. 480%. Juicy thing. Chaotic Whirlwind. Rework this set's special activate. It now grants a stack of Chaotic Whirlwind for 5 seconds after casting Whirlwind while in combat. Granting 5% movement speed per stack and increasing your weapon and spell damage by 6 for every 1% bonus movement. Okay. Sure. Wait, what? Concentrated Force. This set now requires successive casting of Force Shock within 5 seconds of other. Oh, okay, okay. You can still do light attacks in between, but you have more time to cast it. That is actually good. Acuity got a huge change. This item now grants a stack of mechanical acuity for 4 seconds whenever you deal non-critical damage, granting you 20% critical chance per stack up to once every half second. After this effect ends or reaches 5 stacks, it cannot occur again for 25 seconds. This change was done to help tone down the burst enabling nature of this set, where it significantly increased your kill potential with no real drawback. Basically, gankers were using this to get fast kills, because when you have 100% crit rating for like 5 seconds, that's pretty juicy. Now it actually has to slowly go up. So it's not that good for ganking anymore, but like in raids for trash fights, it's still pretty good. They gave Worm's Raymond Magrak rather than spell damage. It's actually good. Tommy House. This set now fires both its flame and physical damage rings at the same time at half the original damage and grants weapon and. Yeah, okay, cool. PvP, Dark Convergence. Reduces sets damage by 59%, but increases the scaling per target to 50. Reduce the radius of the effect to 10 meters, down from 12. The set now pulls once after its delay rather than twice or restoration. The pull now pulls all nearby targets rather than 6 per. Okay. I don't know, still sounds very strong. We will see. Damage reduction is pretty big though, but oh, but it scales more per target, so it's still pretty strong. This set is currently seeing a lot of success in its original target area of killing. There was a lot of QQ about this set. I'm not sure there still is a lot of QQ, but we will see. Deadly Strikes. Reduce this set's damage done bonus to over time and channel level to 15. Okay. I mean, it's a small nerf. Usually Templars use this a little bit. Plague, same thing. This set now has a 2-second delay before it starts dealing damage and ticks every 2 seconds rather than every second. Increase the damage per tick by 82. That's a lot more burst damage you can pull off though. Anyway, I don't know. Flavor of the month PvP. Anyway, check out the Deadlands, the crit damage, how the proc sets work. We also do have a list of all sets that work in the No Champion Points campaign. Here, if you want to go check it out, the Armory System guide, all the sets are listed. The craftable sets have the crafting stations already, so you can immediately see where it is. We are working on the leads. Most of the Mythics already do have the leads. There's maybe 1, 2 unknown, but by the time you watch this, maybe it's already built out. And check out alcasthq.com for all the latest build updates. Here, be very important. You can also roam around on ESO Hub. Obviously, we do have all the sets, like I just mentioned, all the skills, champion points. We have the calculator as well here. Companions. Now working on housing. Like you can, there's like 6,225 furniture. Right? You can also search them and so on. DLCs and chapters, events. There's plenty of other things. We do have armor set compare tool now. So like, I don't know, the first two that pop up, you can compare as many as you want on the same screen. Very nice. Achievements, antiquities, buffs and debuffs recently added, all the major minor buffs and named buffs. All there. Classes overview page, still kind of working on this a little bit. This is mostly meant for new players, just to give them kind of like an overview of each class. Then what else do we have here? We have all the fashion content on ESO Hub nowadays. Motifs, dyes, all here. We're obviously still working, building out all of these. So it's kind of like work in progress. But you can visit all of the pages already. Food and drinks, all of them are here. We have them indexed. I also updated alcasthq.com with that, by the way. So like if I use, I don't know, the Arteum takeaway, bro. You click on it and immediately see the prices on each server, NAU, how expensive they are. So that's pretty cool as well. Same goes for Mundustone, etc, etc. Leave Mundustone, you can find all the information where it is located. There's also a Mundustone overview page, all the necessary information. Leaderboards can also be found here, all on eso-up.com. Anyway, links in the description below. Don't forget to subscribe. Check out all the socials, Twitter, Facebook, Discord, Instagram, we have it all. There's also currently a giveaway going on Twitter. Here. Just my ad name is @alcasthq. Last till next Monday, November 8th. We often do giveaways that last for like a week. So you can win like 3k crowns and maybe a Bantanguar. And you can use, like, we have this sign up form where everybody can sign up. So I can actually put the tweet into the comment section. Yeah, sure. That's pretty much it for the patch notes. I would say the new content and quality of life improvements are amazing. Combat changes at most. Thanks for watching and have a nice day. Cheers.